Welcome to the Mile High Podcast, broadcasting from 5,280 feet, which is where we are sure you're going to be in June on higher ground. And please, wherever you are listening or watching this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, whether it's on Stitcher or iTunes or YouTube, or you're watching us on Facebook video. Make sure you stay tuned and never miss any Mile High Tick. And of course, you want to not miss and be at Mile High in June, riseuptomilehigh.com. And I am so thrilled to have as a guest on the Mile High Podcast today, the one and only Lauryn Brunclik, who is going to be joining us at Mile High Live. And I know you know her and that she slays the day, and we're going to have fun talking about that. She's a 2010 graduate of Northwestern, and she spent 11 years starting 3 cash practices, raising kids, and raising practice and raising kids is no easy task. And in different socioeconomic areas, and running really specific clinic systems and procedures. And, you know, she is just an incredible rock star, and we love having strong, impactful people on our Mile High stage and on the podcast. So thank you for joining us today.
I'm super excited to be here.
Well, we're super excited too. And this is going to be a good vibes podcast. I know that. So first of all, let's let people get to know you about a little bit more. How did you first find your way into the chiropractic world?
So my journey into chiropractic, I always say I'm so jealous of people who have like this awesome chiropractic story. They were told they would never walk again, and then boom, power of chiropractic, their life changed. I don't have that. Like, it's really funny because I'll share when I'm at Mile High, I am going to share my story that I have about Fred Barge being in my life. But so God, I think, was doing all these things for a long time, trying to guide me and direct me. He brought Fred Barge into my mom's life. When my mom was pregnant in California, she started doing chiropractic. None of that really hit though until I was 12. And I wanted to help people. Scratch that. I wanted to be important and liked. So I was like, well, who do people love? They love their doctor. Okay. Don't judge me. Okay. I'm 12. So I'm like, I'm going to be an OB, no pediatrician, no family doc. Ooh, I want to help everyone because I want everyone to like me. And so then I started, I'm getting a little older. Maybe I'd wanted to be a doctor since I was like 9 or something like that. And then I'm starting to realize, like, well, you're really, like, when you're one of these doctors, you're stuck helping this like specific category of people. And then like I started to even realize, like, well, as you're helping them, you're really not helping them. I mean, you're kind of giving them surgery or drugs. It's not you. And so I started to kind of have this, what would this be, 10th life crisis type of thing, where I'm like, I want to be a doctor because everybody loves their doctor, but like, I don't think I want to do this. And it was around that time that one of my friends, whose mom was a chiropractor, I was talking to her after school, and she really, it was not poetic. It was not like this philosophical stage moment where a light bulb went off. She just really explained, in her own words, the Merrick chart is basically what I would say. And she explained chiropractic, even though I had been adjusted before. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I remember going home from my friend's house, and I told my mom, like, hey, I'm not going to be a medical doctor. I'm going to be a chiropractor. And my mom had grown up best friends with Fred Barge's daughter, so she was very familiar. She's like, cool, sure you will, honey. You're 12. Don't put too much pressure on it. And I'm like, no, really. I'm going to be a chiropractor. And it did not waver, even in the slightest. Really until there was about a week where I had a little bit of maybe my second life crisis of my life, where I was in the second trimester at school, and I realized that not everyone loves the chiropractor. And this was like mind blowing to me, where I was like, what do you mean? Because like at Northwestern on Friday night, we would all go out downtown. Right. And so there'd be like a group of like 30, 40 chiropractors that would just like enter Brothers or whatever college bar we went to. And, you know, inevitably people would be like, who are you guys? Like, what is this? And I'd be like, oh, we're chiropractic students. And like, sometimes I'd get the like, oh, can you give me a good adjustment? And they're like, oh, you're hilarious. And then other times people will be like, oh, I don't believe in chiropractic. And I'm just like, excuse me? Like, and they're like, yeah, I think chiropractors are this or that. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And so I did have, the only time I questioned was when I had to realize that success in this arena wasn't going to be handed to me on a silver platter, that I was going to need to, you know, not everyone loved chiropractic. And this was shocking to me. And that I was, you know, gonna need to work. I was gonna need to work to educate people on why kids needed to be adjusted. And I was gonna have to work harder than I wanted. But after a few days of like, should I drop out? Now's the time to do it. I was like, no, I can't. It was just in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you know how hard it was going to be or how much energy, you may not have done it. Right. I've had that thought. Well, I probably said it, you know, this past couple of weeks. I was like, man, if I had thought Mile High was going to be this much effort, I would have not done that a decade ago. You know? And I'm grateful I did, but you know, if you think you would stop it, because you have to grow to become the person that can do the practice, right? And be a chiropractor, right?
Absolutely.
And along that way, I know this is important to you, you make mistakes, and that's where you grow. What are some of the things that are mistakes that you made?
Well, so I started right out of school. And I wouldn't say that was a mistake at all, because I would have been a terrible employee. Like, I'm too opinionated. And back when I graduated, I was 24, and I knew everything then, which is hilarious because now at 35, I'm like, wow, I really don't know much. But back then I knew everything and would have been a terrible employee. So I went right into practice. My husband has a degree in finance and marketing. So we were like, okay, this will work. But I didn't have any support of other chiropractors. I wasn't a part of a group, whether it was coaching or whatever. Like, I really just didn't have a mastermind. I didn't have people who were going to be pouring into me and like seeking just basically peer mentorship, even at its most basic level. And so that was difficult. So I had to really make mistakes through like the systems and procedures that we have in clinic now compared to where we started. You know, we started in network with every insurance. If I had a patient call and go like, do you take, you know, lipstick insurance? I'd be like, nope, but I will as soon as I get off the phone with you. Like, you know, it was just, our care plans like were like not really care plans. It was like, let's see how this goes. Even though I was seeing a ton of kids, I didn't realize that we were still really symptom based. So even if I was seeing a child for colic, everything was about the colic, not about the nervous system, not about the expression of why is this discomfort happening. So then as soon as the baby, you know, didn't have colic anymore, they left. And I was like, well, shoot, I thought I did great. I mean, to this day, I still have people who will like say like, oh my God, I haven't seen them in years. And they're like, oh my gosh, you just were a lifesaver for us, for our baby or my pregnancy. And I'm just like, cool. Really nailed communication on that one with you. Like, they're like, you'd be so proud of me. I haven't needed chiropractic in 6 years. I'm like, oh, you have no idea how proud I am. Ooh, okay.
Fred Bardwell love that.
Yeah. I'm just like, cool. Awesome. So yeah, like really just the practice I have now, it was through having to basically do a 180 on almost everything we were doing, on systems, procedures, communication, like adjusting, like just so many things that were just like and it's hard because it didn't happen until I was seeing like 300 people a week. So it wasn't like, and the more people you're seeing a week, the more difficult this is and the more scared you are to change. You know, so we were seeing 300 to 350 people a week. It was just me and my front desk. And I'm looking at going out of network with insurance, all insurance. And I'm like, and we were 80% insurance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I
That's
didn't
scary.
think. Like, I would have thought we were like, oh, 50-50. And it's always funny when I talk to someone who is like people will write into the podcast, and I'll like kind of be like, okay, tell me a little more information. And everybody always overestimates how much cash they are. And I'm like, why don't you actually do those numbers? Like actually figure out your income. And so we were 80%, and I was like, shoot, this could be scary. And so it was through communicating, like learning, how am I going to do this? How am I going to flip these people to stick around? Because I don't want to lose them. And it was hard, and it took a while, but like the way we did it was fine. But we really did easy hard versus hard easy.
Right.
And so that was the biggest mistake.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and people are taught they're generally taught what is the easy hard in school, unfortunately, and don't realize that will bite them in the ass later, for sure.
It's tough because like when you graduate, I feel like, I don't know how we would be able to change this, because you come out with this debt where you have to be successful. Like your monthly repayment amount makes sure that you need to be successful. So even if chiropractic school was like, listen, just be happy, it's okay, however many people you see, like the government would make sure, like, you got to make some money. So I think what happens is we come out of school and we're like, okay, I need to be successful as quick as possible. So being liked becomes really important, because if people like me, they will pay me. And so then you really get kind of suckered into this. How do I get people to like me? Well, I give them what they want. What do the people want? Well, I give them this then. And so it would have been lovely if I would have had the balls to come out of chiropractic school being like, hard, easy, baby. And some people are going to reject me, and it may take longer for me to get to where I want to be, but I'm choosing this.
Right.
But it's so hard. It's so much easier as a new grad to be like, I want everyone to say yes, and I want that. So I'm going to give them what they want. And it's not until you get to this point where you can breathe, where you're like, all right, I'm paying my bills. I went on a vacation. And then you're like, oh, wait, is this the practice I want? Oh, shit. No, it's not. Now what do I do?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So important. And then that shifting that around is a lot harder. And a lot of people have to do that when they have those realizations. Let me ask you this. What were some other things that you learned and grew that were big turning points for you?
So I would say another big thing was the words I was using. Realizing that even though I wasn't talking about neck and back pain, you can still be a very pain-focused chiropractor. You're just replacing neck pain with, how are your migraines doing? And all your table talk is, have you had a migraine since your last adjustment? How are your migraines? Oh, you haven't had migraines. And so like, I didn't realize you're not really just because you're not talking about pain doesn't mean you're talking about the big picture. It doesn't mean that patient gets it. And so it would be really confusing, because I would have people who loved chiropractic and what it did for their quality of life, and would bring their kid into their appointment every single time. And I go like, you ever thought about having your kid checked? And they're like, oh no, they don't get migraines. And I'm like, I suck at this.
Right.
So like, that was another really big one of having to be like, where did I go wrong? What am I doing that, so they were all like, I am just constantly reflecting and trying to improve. And like, it is bizarre how 11 and a half years into practice, there's still these things where it's like, oh, that person who was going through active care, coming multiple times a week, when they got to their like graduation to wellness, where we're like, all right, we're just going to see you once a week for the rest of your life now. They had no idea. They thought they were going to be done with chiropractic. And I still am go like, where did I go wrong there? Like, that's weird. Why would they think that? And so I'm just constantly learning on like these micro levels of like, okay, we got to fix that. Where are we going to fix that? And so really not holding on to anything and constantly being willing to pivot and grow is Yeah.
And I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you sent in the bio that you sent me that I read beforehand, you have had a pediatric focus practice. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. And how did you end up focusing on pediatrics?
Well, because I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Oh, there we
Like,
go.
yep. I wanted to be a pediatrician or an OB. And so I wanted to help kids. And so like that was, I knew through school, like I wanted to work with kids. And, we're in a really low population area. So our entire county in Northwest Wisconsin is 50,000 people. The average income for a family of 4 is like 45,000. And so we see a really high percentage of kids considering like the average, but like some of in these bigger cities, that people are like 80% pediatrics, we're like 35 to 40%. And the rest is family practice. And I kind of do love it though. I love the mix. So we're not a pure pediatric practice, but like we see a ton of children. So.
Yeah, excellent. Now, then you did a podcast. You threw on top of this podcast. Tell me about
Do you know
that.
what the Enneagram is?
Yes.
Okay, what are you?
I'm the performer.
The 3. Yeah, I am too.
Are you?
Yeah. So that's
There
what
you
happened. I'm an Enneagram 3. So basically, we had gotten to this point where we were seeing quite a few people. I had 2 associates, 2 clinics, 6 CAs, and like I had to have time where I wasn't adjusting and where I was thinking about like working on the clinic, not in the clinic.
Right.
So I stepped back a little bit. So I was only adjusting like 18 hours a week. And in my downtime, I got bored and started a podcast. It wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, honestly. Like I was supposed to be working on the clinic, but my brain just got enough of like freedom that I was like, whew, idea. The other thing that had happened is I had been coaching for another chiropractic group, loved it. But I had been with them for a couple of years and it was just kind of time. Like I was just feeling the need to kind of evolve out of that. And so simultaneously I kind of left. I'm like, I just need to step back and kind of regather how I'm spending my time. And then I really missed it. And so I was like, well, what I love doing is helping people. I love helping chiropractors using my mistakes. And like, I love just being honest with people. And I'm like, well, I don't know if this will work or not. And so started it, and like the very first episode got like 1,200 downloads within a week or so. And I was like, oh, okay, then it's considering the average podcast gets like 126. I was like, maybe we're onto something. And so I kept telling people like, I don't know, if this sucks or like you guys stop listening, I'm gonna quit, because like it's true, I'm not getting paid for it. Like, what am I doing here? And it just kind of kept going, and I really love it. And our She Slays community I'm so tight with them, like through social media. People message me, I meet them at conferences. Like I love our listeners, and they like really support the show. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll keep going.
Wow. And tell us, like, how far has it reached?
So right now, like in the last week, we've had like 4,000 in the last 5 days, we've had like 4,000 downloads. We're at like 190,000 downloads now. There's people all over the world. Like there's like 3 countries in Africa. And I'm like, who's listening in Africa? Like, I don't know. But it's definitely, when we started, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for women or just for chiropractors, or maybe it's for female entrepreneurs, because I didn't know, but like there was something about me, like my story, I'm just such a funny, like opinionated person that God must be so frustrated with, of like, it just takes me a while to come full circle and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if just a chiropractic podcast is enough. And I'm an idiot. It's fine. Like now I love it. And I love saying like, this is a podcast for chiropractors. And whether you're an associate or a male, like it's not just female chiropractors who own their own business. Like this is about the stress and perfection that is put on us as humans, absolutely as humans, to succeed and be the best person that we can be. Now, I happen to be a chiropractor, and so that's the stuff I like to talk about. And I don't want to try and make it applicable. I don't want to talk about hiring and firing generally. I want to talk about hiring a CA. I want to talk about, because it's different. Like, that's kind of what took a while for it to click. Is there was some episodes, I don't know, like somewhere between episode like 30 and 70 probably, where there was some topics that I tried watering down the audience of like, well, we're talking about hiring, or like the 5 most important people in starting your business. And like, I really tried making it more to like all entrepreneurs. But the reason I say I was watering it down is because I don't know how to hire an accountant front desk. What I know is, and it's different. If you're hiring a chiropractic front desk, they need to know chiropractic. Mm-hmm. Like, this is different. And so I was finding like, well, here's what I do. It's really important that my husband hates when I make this analogy, but like, they drink the Kool-Aid. They need to understand that we're not a cult, but getting adjusted 1 to 2 times a week is kind of a job requirement.
Right.
And like, it just didn't translate. The passion that chiropractors have, or that I had about running a chiropractic clinic, it wasn't translating if I was also trying to give recommendations for like how you would run your beauty salon. It's like, I don't know, do you guys get super passionate about haircuts? Because we are really passionate over here. And so like, so it just kind of turned into like, yeah, I don't know why I was afraid to, or why I thought it was a small audience, or why I would be making my podcast small by saying like it was only for chiropractors, but it's for chiropractors. There's like 3% of people who listen that aren't, and it's like my mom and a couple other family members.
Well, and we're super excited to have you on stage at Mile High this year. I know you haven't attended before, so I know you're super psyched to be there.
But I'm prepared. I have been fully like prepared. Like I haven't been baptized at Mile High yet, but I feel like I have. So it's gonna happen. It's great.
Well, and we have a great mutual friend, Elise Rigney, and she just raves about you. So she's excited to have you there. Why are you excited to be at Mile High?
I'm excited to be around like-minded chiropractors. I'm excited to be at a conference that pours into me. There's lots of times that I'll speak that, it's some of the other stuff just doesn't hit, and but I'm there to speak. And so I love that I'm anticipating getting more out of this experience than I'm even giving. And I give a ton on stage, so that says a lot.
Well, you're an Enneagram 3, so that's
right. So we perform. And people will like me. Does that make more sense now?
Yeah,
like
totally.
obsession to being a 10-year-old being like, I just want people to like me.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny because I myself, before I was going to be a chiropractor, you'll find this interesting, I was going to be an actor. I was like, I'm going to do theater. I was going to do acting. And then I realized I really wasn't a good actor at all. I'm glad I realized that early on. So, and then I did radio because it's still performing, right? Mm-hmm. So I did radio in undergrad. And then I saw chiropractor speaking places. I was like, oh, you could speak, so.
You took a diluted trail too.
Yeah.
Whatever, we got here. That's the only thing that matters.
Exactly. And we're excited to see you on stage at Mile High. Do you have any thoughts about what you're going to be sharing?
Yeah, so I'm going to dig into like basically my learning to my evolution, my transition to becoming a subluxation based chiropractor, because it's not an easy transition, even though your mind decides. Like, I choked on, like, I couldn't say the word subluxation to a patient. Like, I literally was just like, okay. And I spent so much time being like, I know what I want to say in my head, but I can't physically. And so it's really going to be, my journey of going easy, hard, and what that arrow is in between.
Mm-hmm. Got it. That's so important because a lot of people, you know, we see the people that are, oh, they're just all about a subluxation adjustment focused practice. But then there's people that are facing that way, but they're not there yet. They're on a path towards that, and they don't know how, they don't know how to take the next step. And
Yep.
so that also is a lot of, who comes to Mile High, as well as just chiropractic students, because they don't learn anything about, having a subluxation adjustment focused chiropractic practice in school at all, sadly.
Yeah, yep, that is absolutely. So hopefully somebody will be inspired.
Well, look, if not, at least we'll have fun.
Right. At least they'll laugh. I don't know. I'll tell some jokes.
Well, we're excited to have you there. Is there any other tip that you'd like to share relative to successfully running a systemized pediatric focused practice, especially as a woman? Because, as Elise and I have discussed, you can be successful. Sometimes women think they can't be successful in practice, but also it's just different. You certainly can be, but there may be things differently that have to be done differently.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a woman who has thought I couldn't be successful. And any woman who would have that thought, I would go like, interesting. And I would guess that what they're really saying is, I can't be your version of successful. And that if I really dug in with them of like, wait, what do you mean you don't think you can be successful? What are, and like, I really believe that at the end of that conversation, that's where we would come to of like, oh no, I think I can find purpose and fulfillment and happiness and pay my bills with chiropractic. I have no question about that. But do I think other chiropractors will look at my version of success and be impressed or proud of me? No. And so that's where I think women and men go like, I don't know if I can be that. I don't know if I want that, is really what I think they're saying. Is I don't think I can be successful, because they're going, I don't think I want that version of success, because I don't want that.
Right. So super important to get clear on all of that stuff as well. And a lot of people just aren't. So I'm thrilled for you to be there at Mile High. Meanwhile, if people want to connect with you more until then, how can they connect with you? How can they get more Dr. Lauryn?
So I would say for sure I'm most active on Instagram. So it's at She Slays Podcast. Don't go to my other account. That's Lauryn Loves Plants. That's just plants. That's no chiropractic over there. Go to the podcast one. And that's a really good place to start. Like, if you've got questions, you can DM me. I like talk to my people all the time. Absolutely check out the podcast. We're on like episode 151 or something like that now. 150, 150, I don't know. And that there's a whole backlog of like conversations with other chiropractors, solos where we're talking about different topics, but that is really going to be, and if you don't find a topic that you wish I would have talked about, send me a DM on Instagram and I'll do it.
Awesome. And I know people are going to be thrilled to see you at Mile High. And check out her podcast and check out Dr. Lauryn Brunclik at Mile High in June. Where else would you want to be in June other than on higher ground in the Rockies? I mean, of course, it's a no-brainer. So we look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to seeing everybody there. And remember, as I said, hit subscribe on the podcast so you never miss an episode of Mile High Tick. And we'll see you in June 2nd to 5th, our 10th anniversary. RiseUpToMileHigh.com. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Lauryn, and thank you so much for inspiring people to impact more lives with chiropractic.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. So thanks for having me.
Keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic. See you on higher ground soon.